Hey everyone, it is me, Undead Viking. I am going to review a book today. Now, I realize lately my videos have been kind of all over the place. I've been doing role-playing game session reports for the campaign I'm running right now. I actually do have two of those that I have to do. I theoretically will record them later today, going over the young ones and the grognards that are playing in my campaign right now. I do have an RPG review that I want to talk about, as far as like an older role-playing game book that I think is a fantastic campaign starter, and I want to talk about that. There's some board games I want to talk about. I just don't really have a lot of time, and I can do this video quickly without a lot of prep, without a lot of talking. So I want to talk about a game. I want to talk about a book. It's called The Man Who Saw Seconds. I don't know how I discovered this. I think it was one of those weird recommended to me blurbs that I saw somewhere. And normally I don't really pay attention to that stuff when it pops up, but I saw something that said, reads like early Neal Stephenson. So I'm going to talk about Neal Stevenson really, really briefly. I'm not going to dive into his writing or anything like that to a great degree. I do remember I had a friend who went away to college after I graduated high school, and then he came back and he mentioned, he was a big role-playing game guy with me, and we played a lot of Cyberpunk and Shadowrun and D&D and what have you. And he mentioned Snow Crash to me, and he said, "Have you read this book, Snow Crash?" And I said, "No, I haven't." And he's like, "You gotta read it. I mean, it'll just you'll start reading it, and it'll just suck you in, and you'll want to read the whole thing." And he was right. I started reading it, and it was fantastic. And after that, I became a Neal Stevenson fan. Now, I do think he kind of hits and misses with some of his books for me. I mean, I think Cryptonomicon is great. The Baroque Cycle was probably too long, but it had some fantastic moments. I remember reading those books with great excitement. And I'm not, like I said, I don't want to talk too much about Neal Stephenson. I greatly enjoy his writing, but he has a method to his writing that I always found really, really interesting. Entire chapters would be just two people like talking about just high-level thought processes about certain things, like the Tower of Babel, or just how a submarine works, or all kinds of crazy things. And it was a way that, when I read those things, it was a way that Neal Stephenson could take something that he either knew about or that he researched, and he would be able to explain it to somebody. It would be a total exposition type situation, but it would be framed in the aspect of like two people having a conversation, or one person like reading a book or whatever. And it didn't feel like exposition, but it also made you realize that like this idea, this thing that was happening was like could be real. I mean, obviously Neal Stephenson has written a lot of like historical fiction. He's written a lot of science fiction, and so, but he was able to take things that doesn't seem like it could be real and made them real. It made you believe in them. And so when somebody said, "Yeah, this reads like early Neal Stephenson," I immediately thought of like Snow Crash, and then I was like, "I'm hooked." And then it was like, so I picked it up, and then I read what the Man Who Saw Seconds is about. And what the Man Who Saw Seconds is about is it's about a guy who can see 5 seconds into the future, and that's the premise of it. And basically, he has a very, very bad interaction I'm staying away from spoilers here. He has a very, very bad interaction in New York, and it's set in like the real world, right? So it feels like it's something that could be real. But he has a bad interaction on the subway, and somebody dies. Basically, he prevents himself from dying, from being able to see into the future, but it causes somebody else to die. And then what happens is that people like discover, government agents discover that he has this ability. Like at first they can't believe that he has this ability. Like it doesn't make any sense, but because it's a very paranoid book too. It's very much Big Brother is watching. but because there's cameras everywhere and there's people watching everywhere and people like looking at everything everywhere, the government is able to uh, figure out that like the way that he's reacting to the stimuli around himself, he's too fast. Like he's making decisions before people make decisions around him. Like so, if somebody's trying to fight him, he knows where that person's going to punch before they even punch. He knows where somebody's going to try to shoot him before they even try to shoot him. And so they realize that there's something odd about him. And one, it's something they want to study, and two, they realize just how dangerous he is to the world in general. And if you know, it's like what a Superman, and he isn't Superman. He just has this like innate ability that lets him see into the future 5 seconds. But it is a, you know, what if that a person has like is evil and has this great power kind of thing. And I'm not going to go too far into it, right? The story unfolds. They talk a great deal about him. They do kind of dive into how he got the power and why he has the power. And there's a fabulous chapter in the book where the main antagonist of the story against like, and he's not really a hero. The book is very violent. I'll say that right off here. I mean, not gruesomely violent, but it becomes a very, very violent book as more and more people are trying to track this guy down, and they're willing to do anything, and I mean anything, to get him and basically either kill him or capture him. There's a fabulous chapter of the book where the main antagonist, who's trying to find this gentleman with the superpower, sits down and talks to a extremely intelligent neuroscientist and basically says, how could this person have this ability, and how does he have the ability, and how does it, you know, how is it working? And they go in depth into the workings of the human brain and how the human brain works, and how theoretically this could be the situation that he has and how he has the ability that he has. And it is a very, and that's the chapter that really made me feel like Neal Stephenson. It was a really good chapter. Like it just felt like a Neal Stephenson chapter. But the writer for this is Alexander Boldizan. I don't know if that's a nom de plume or anything, or if that's just the person's name. I've never read anything else by him. I just, if you like speculative fiction, if you like philosophical, there's a lot of philosophical things going on here. There's also, I felt like with the overreach of the government and how how our government is kind of set up in a frame where we kind of just try to like believe that the government is there and it is this rigid set of rules, and then this book kind of deconstructs that and just says, yeah, I mean, it supposedly has the rules, but what if somebody just decides to break the rules? What's to stop somebody from doing that? How do you prevent somebody from just deciding that no, that isn't the case, and we're gonna circumvent those things? And I don't want to give away too much about the book, right? I think it's going to be something that you really enjoy reading, especially if you are a Neal Stephenson fan, if you like science fiction, because it is kind of science fiction, but it's also very rooted in reality. I mean, like, it talks about, modern day New York, and it talks of New York City, and it talks about how like the subway system works, and how the process of getting a cab in New York City. So it feels real, but then it puts this imaginative science fiction element into it, and tries at best to try to like show like how that would affect the world and how that would affect what was going on, and and the ultimate processes that bring about radical changes in how normal people are going to end up perceiving the world if people know that this person exists that has this ability. It's just a really good book. It is a little over 300 pages. After I got it, I cracked it open. I started reading. I finished it in like 2 days. I'm super glad. I'm going to recommend this. I have a bunch of friends who are Neal Stephenson fans. My number one Neal Stevenson fan, he's on vacation right now, but I said, I'm going to loan you this book as soon as you get home. You got to read it. And he's super excited to read it. So there you go. That is The Man Who Saw Seconds by Alexander Boldizar. If you've read a Neal Stephenson book, tell me what your favorite is. If you've never read Neal Stephenson, then I don't know what to say. I mean, you should really go read Snow Crash, and you absolutely, positively, totally should read The Man Who Saw Seconds. But cool. Well, that's that. Stay tuned for more videos of all kinds of stuff that I talk about here. And yeah, just take care of yourself. See you next time.